as you begin constructing your tower, you will notice you have 4 views to build. First thing you're going to do is to cut, pin, and glue the outside frame of each view. And so this way we have a framework in place for all 4 of your views. We'll begin by cutting the vertical pieces first. When you did your measuring, you remember that these lines on the outside were 8 inches in length. We have 2 per view, 2 here, 4, 6, 8. 8-inch lines that need to be cut to the same length. In order to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to take your piece of your balsa wood and a fine tip pin. There's no measuring necessary at this point. We're just going to line it up with your line that you've drawn. Once it's lined up, mark it to length, and then put an X over the top of this piece. This will be our guide piece for cutting the remaining vertical lines. Now as you make your cuts, take your scissors and take the top part of the blade, making sure that the top part of the blade goes straight down toward the table, and this allows the blade to make a straight cut all the way through. Now when you have that piece cut, set it back in place. This was the guide piece because I know it has the letter X on it. That's how we want all the remaining pieces to be cut. So an easy way to do this is to take our guide piece with the letter X on top of it, line up the ends so that the ends line up on one part, go to the opposite end with your scissors, and here's where you want to have a good firm grip with the 2 pieces, and then place your scissors with the blade over the end right here and make a cut straight through. Now we know we have an exact cut on this end and it lined up with this end, so it should be the same length. So as I set it in place, I now have my next piece cut. So I want you to continue doing this until you get all 8 of your vertical lines in place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cross pin those vertical lines so they don't move as you're building. Cross pinning, you take your pins and you're going to hold this down over your lines, and with your pins form what we call a letter X over the top of the piece of wood in 3 places. 1 set of pins at the top. Let's do another set in the middle and do 1 last set on the end. So notice the pins are crossing over the top of the piece of wood to hold it in place. When you have that piece pinned down, you can move on to continue pinning the remaining vertical lines. So as we see with the cross pinning, the pins are actually crossed over and holding the piece of wood in place so that as you're making your individual cuts on the inside, it does not move on you. So I will continue pinning this down and then we'll do the horizontal lines next.